Well, hey, everybody. Get ready for a new case on criminal motives behind the crime scene tape.
My name is Jay, and I co host this podcast with my dad. My dad and I have both worked in law enforcement, and we also specialize in security. Join us as we dive into some of these real life cases and find out what actually happens behind the scenes and what most people don't get to hear about.
It's going to be a good one, so let's jump right in. I hate when I have to do that. All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another podcast of criminal motives. And we're behind the crime scene tape, trying to give a little bit of insight on some cases we're working and some things that we're going through and how some of that evolves. And hopefully make an interesting thing for you that we've run across, myself, my son Jared, and our situation currently always social distancing. So we're in two locations trying to put this together. Eventually, we hope to be in the same room. So for now, uh, we're gonna rock it this way for a minute. Hope everybody is doing well. Um, Rough week in Polk County this week.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, it, man, we go back to talking about some things that we want to cover on our show and post traumatic stress. And I just keep looking at that one line that Sheriff Judd said where he cannot unsee what he saw the other day in Lakeland. And
yeah,
uh, that's tough. That's real tough. And not being able to unsee something's not good. But it's the world we live in and our job. And a lot of times, unseeing something doesn't fit in the picture right away. So it'll be interesting one day to get his take on how he handles that. So maybe
for
we can.
sure. For sure.
How you
Yeah.
doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Things have been crazy, but we're doing good. Yeah, I'm happy to get another episode in. As far as I know, I don't know if there's that many father son true crime podcast shows. So this might be the only one. But if I find one, then I'll give credit where credit's due. But
This will be father son on the good side of the law, not father sons who have committed the crimes.
yeah, we're not no mob family kind of stuff here. So
Yeah, we're not doing
uh,
it from a jail cell,
that's right.
Howard County somewhere.
That's right. A quick backstory. My dad was in law enforcement. That's all I knew. I knew he was a cop. I knew he was, uh, running bad guys off the street and coming home in different undercover cars and had some pretty cool sports cars at one time. That was pretty fun. But that inspired me, and I had that vision. I wanted to get into law enforcement. And a quick way that I chose was try and join the military. And when I got in there to the recruiter's office, I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a cop." And he's like, "No, you don't. Not in the military, because you're gonna stand there and check IDs, and you're gonna hate your life." And I was like, "Oh, all right." Now, knowing what I know now, that's not nearly as true. I mean, you do start out checking IDs at the gate, but there's a lot of things that you have to like that you're responsible for. So he kind of had a bad perspective on that. But I got in. Long story short, that's how I got into law enforcement was through the military and Air Force. And now I'm with the Department of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. So I'm still with them. Just do it part time now in the reserves. So
I
hence
love it.
why I can have this and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it. Now you take an assignment with the Amish, and
yeah, yeah. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna the brother of mine.
I'm gonna go bust in one of their oh man, what was that stupid
The
TV show?
Amish mafia
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I'm gonna, I'm gonna bust in on one of those.
Lebanon Levi And I don't know if he's copyrighted or not, but that was his name in that show. So
Oh, jeez.
protected
Yeah.
by Lebanon Levi, you get you a bumper sticker.
Oh
So
my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So,
all right, yep.
but yeah. So, the reason why one of the reasons why I bring up that story is that recruiter, he had a really, like I said, he had a bad perspective on military law enforcement, at least, the security forces part of it.
He was
Uh,
probably investigated by him.
maybe. Maybe. It's very true. It could very much happen. And so, man, the other day, so I bring all this up just because perspective is so important, whether it's, when you're talking about a certain job in the military, or if you're talking about, things that you've seen that you can't unsee. And it's so easy to just have a negative perspective on everything. And I was reminded of this recently because my son Easton, I picked him up from school yesterday, and he was like, "You'll never guess what happened at gym." And I was like, "Oh gosh, okay, you got beat up, you got pantsed, you got hit in the face with a dodgeball." I'm saying all these things, and he's like, "No, worse, I tripped." I'm like, "What? That's worse than getting beat up?"
Yeah,
So I,
even
s-
on
I
that age.
start I started cracking up, and I was like, "Buddy, I'm not laughing because you tripped. I'm just laughing because your perspective is so terrible right
Yeah,
now."
yeah, that's it.
So,
Oh wow.
so yeah, keeping a good perspective. In law enforcement, we kind of start to lose a lot of faith in humanity. It's kind of difficult because we just see the negative, and just the worst. And like Sheriff Judd, he saw a terrible thing in Lakeland the other day, and so, like, it's hard to, you know believe that there's good people out there, but there very much are. There's more good than bad. So it's one of those things, you just gotta keep a good perspective.
You know
Anyways,
the
that's my life lesson sum up. We can get
yeah
rolling now, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it was on my mind.
the media, for all the good it does about access to information, can control people's perspective,
Yes. Yep.
putting out that negative impression or focusing on a segment of it that really didn't have that big of impact um, until they got involved with it. So I'm not blaming the media. I'm just saying that sometimes the media has the avenue to control some of those emotions,
Yep.
and you know, good press conferences, good press managers, communication managers maybe can help with with that in some ways. Um, but man, sometimes media just can overblow something, and the part that you want out there in the media gets lost in the weeds, and you hate when that happens. So anyway, yeah, it's great perspective. I would have thought the same thing, tripping. For me, not so bad. Maybe in front of a bunch of girls at that age, probably pretty devastating to him. He's trying to work
Maybe.
on his image a little bit, and it's like, last thing you need to do is trip. I'd rather get beat up.
At least I could say I got into a fight, and then they're
Yeah,
sympathetic for me.
you got to see the other guy. So
Oh
anyway,
man.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I got one for you, man. It's kind of cool. Kind of plays into our talk last time about informants and some of the positive and negatives of using informants, and positive and negatives for them to become an informant. And so it kind of plays into that. So I wanted to throw it at you a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I was in a corporate security setting, and I was working basically in no better terms, kind of a check-in IDs kind of day where you don't have a whole lot going on and you're just kind
Mm,
of standing around doing things, looking at stuff. And I didn't really actually work a gate or a door or anything like that. It just was the level of workload I had on that particular week or day.
yeah.
And I had a customer service representative come walking into my office, tapping her toe in front of my desk,
Oh yeah.
mad
Hands on the
about,
hips.
yep, mad because she wanted to know if I could do anything about the favoritism in this place. And I'm like, oh, I'm not HR, but last time I checked, maybe look at the board, go the right person. But all this is flowing through my head. I'm not going to say that to her. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, she goes, I put up a note on the bulletin board that I have these chocolate flavored X balls for sale. And I got in trouble for it because I'm selling stuff on company property,
Yeah, I
and
just want to make
obviously,
sure I heard that. Chocolate flavored X-Lax?
yeah, X balls. And that's maybe an over perspective view of what she was selling, but it was about as worthless as that.
Okay.
And she's fussing because she got jammed up by her supervisor, and she said, "How is it any different when so and so can go around selling handbags to people on the property and get away with it?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. Number one, from the policy that we don't allow any kind of solicitation on the property. That's just straight up people get involved with that. You cross a couple lines of if you're busy doing that, why aren't you working? And is it a double dipping situation? You're getting paid to be at your job, and now you're making money while you're working on our dime. So it opens up several different things. And on top of that, we're talking about product that we handle raises a red flag when somebody's got it for sale. So now we're looking at where did this come from? And a manager on top of it. So all these different levels of things that flowing through my head, like, you know, now, what started as a normally verbally abusive customer service representative, not to the customer, but to people she works with, turns into, man, we might have a case here. So we used to have a saying that, customer service reps, they know everything, they know it all. And if you want anything kept secret, you don't tell them. And certainly, if you're working an investigation, you never tell nobody nothing. But there used to be an old phrase, you want to get something out there, you could telephone, telegraph, tell a CSR, customer service rep, because they know it all. They'll get it spread for you.
Tell CSR. I love that.
Yeah, well, it used to. I think when I was in early 20s, I heard that phrase used instead of CSR. You know tell a woman. So because they talk a lot, but we won't delve into that. For this purpose, we'll stay with the CSR.
Yeah, yeah, because I know some men that can be
Oh,
pretty loose at the lips.
yeah, yeah. And they made a whole Andy Griffith show about the men that gossip just as bad as women. So, if it's good for Andy, I mean, what happens.
Yep.
But so here she is. She's pounding her foot. She's like, I'm mad. I want to call somebody. I'm gonna do this. I'm like, okay, just relax. Let me look into it. You've given me a lot of good information to look into, but just let me look into it. Don't tell nobody we're here. Let's do a whole confidentiality agreement on you've laid out some stuff that I have to look into, and I will keep you updated. Don't go asking nobody. Don't go to your boss and tell them. Anytime you go to corporate security for any kind of claim like this, you have to maintain a confidentiality agreement with them, and
Yeah,
there are
for sure.
consequences to that. Woman was 14 years on the job. You're not going to jeopardize your job because you can't keep your mouth shut. So let's work on this and let me do my thing. So I get the information. I'm like, holy crap, this is a lot of stuff. So um, first thing I want to do, is get some more information from her, find out who bought a handbag or who's seen with a handbag, and maybe go and CCTV, circuit TV, look and see what we have going on there with that, and start putting a framework of an investigation together for this thing, and see if I can build some evidence where it takes me. So, as far as the informant part of it is, Did she come in there because she was mad about potentially being in trouble for what she did that was a violation of company policy, or was she doing it out of the goodness of her heart? Obviously, I'm thinking the former. She's mad,
Yeah.
you know.
Trying to take out her
For her,
competition.
yep, they got her competition, and why can I not sell my chocolate flavored X balls and make pennies on the dollar when this manager, number one, power of authority, and he gets to do like handbags and make hundreds of dollars. How can this be fair? Had she not gotten in trouble down the road, she may have bought a bag herself. So you have to think about some intentions on that, but don't be judgmental about it. Be grateful for the information, and maybe that's a conversation you have down the road. Like, we got to be better than this. The only
Yeah.
reason you told me this stuff in the first place was because you got in trouble.
Yep.
Um,
I've had
where's the
cases very similar to that where, you know, people will come in, talk about certain stuff, and then once I built up some evidence, I come to find out that they were a customer at one point. So then I bring them back in. I'm like, hey, so why didn't you tell me this part? Oh, well, I didn't think, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to get in trouble. I'm like,
like
well, you are in trouble because you didn't tell me.
hello,
Good.
McFly. We have to play by the rules. We know you don't have to, but for us to be successful, we got to play by the rules. We got to know all the things.
Yep.
Crazy. This crazy. Okay, so I start developing, my information where I want to go. I started with a couple of some of the names that were mentioned were kind of higher up in the business, and so pretty much just went to them and kind of an informal situation. I'm like, wow, that's nice handbag you got there, and see what they say. I'll just let
Mhm.
them open up. And
Sure.
one was, yeah, thanks. That was it. And another one, I kind of left it alone because that one not that open to talk to me, may be open to talk to somebody else. So
Yep.
I backed off of that one. I went to another one and just kind of, hey, that's a nice handbag. She said, yeah, man, you wouldn't believe it. I got it from so and so for $60. You believe that? Louis Vuitton. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good. You say you got it from so and so.
Bingo.
Yeah, he walked by the office one day and showed me a couple handbags, wanted to know if I wanted to buy one. And I'm like, okay, okay. Um, you see anything wrong with that? Well, it was just a conversation we were having, and I'm like, and you were on your break, right? And she goes, oh yeah, at my desk. I eat at my desk, working breaks.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I need to just let you know I'm looking into some of this a little bit. You've not done anything wrong. I just want to, um, that I know of. I just want to make sure you understand. Let's not talk about this until I get back to you and let you know it's all clear and everything. Don't tell him I talked to you or anything, and don't say anything among other ones. Now this ball is rolling. Once
Yep.
somebody knows I'm involved in a short window to get some things down and make some moves before
Mm.
the whole thing's up. So she has put me in sight of a piece of property and a name of a person that did it. This person has no reason to lie, as far as we know. That the same name that I heard from her, the same name I heard from the CSR, sounds like my guy. So I go back to the office. We pull some stuff together. I look at some video footage. Got kind of the date and about the time the purse was bought, and look back through some video footage. Find the guy wheeling a box down the hallway and taking it to excuse me, taking it to a room. And this room is just kind of a storage catch-all room.
Ooh, okay.
And then leaves the room with the box still in there. I got keys to everything. Me and my partner, we head down to the hallway, open up the room, and there's the box. Now, this particular company has labels that they put on the boxes to help sort it and store it and keep track of things, and try to uh, inventory, quality control, things of that nature. I look on the box and it's not addressed to this guy who has put it into this room.
Mm.
Furthermore, further investigation shows that this box has an open inquiry on, hey, where's my box, kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I look in the box. There's still some purses in it. I know they're counterfeit. There's a few things you can get online from counterfeit products and cargo theft task forces and things. And Louis Vuitton will never sew a seam through the logo of the LV. And sure enough, this thing had thread going right through the middle of it to sew the end of it up and all. So it's a counterfeit job.
Yeah, those like high end, high ticket like items and companies, they will sometimes they'll even put out on their website like, "Hey, here's how you spot a counterfeit one compared to what we have." And it'll
Mhm.
give you all those tips and tricks and stuff like that. They'll be like, "Well, we'll never put the tag on the right side," or something like that. It's so if you ever come across something like that, or even if if you're just regular civilian listening to this podcast and you're about to purchase something that seems like a really good deal, and you can look at those pictures and be able to tell if it's counterfeit or not just by knowing those things.
Right. I look back at some more information on this, and I'm not thinking the box belongs to this manager, and I'm thinking that for all intensive purposes, I'm looking at a box that's been stolen and product and sold. And as we put the case together, I'm keeping my chain of command informed of what's going on because it does involve managerial level employees. We get some more information, and it's time to inform this particular manager supervisor of what we're looking into.
Mm.
Now, out of professional courtesy with different levels of management and different divisions of the company, you have to be careful where you inform, when you inform, when to bring someone up to speed or read them into the case, so to speak.
Yep.
And, you don't know who's involved with what. I've known several managers that I thought, or several employees I thought were pretty good guys, turned out to be not so
Mm.
good. And then I've known some that I thought were, man, that's a scrub. He turned out to be one of your best employees. He just
Yeah.
isn't enough. You can never trust that. So you have to be careful. And the easiest way to do it is get somebody else's approval that, yeah, it's time to let this person know. And that way everybody's on the same page when we go through, and we know that we're okay as far as legalities are concerned, proper notifications are concerned, and some of the things that corporate involved with the corporate security side as well as in corporations are sometimes a little more steps in them in between those parts than there is in the criminal work. But the process remains the same. If you want to maintain integrity of your case, you have to be careful where the information goes.
Right.
And informing this guy doesn't mean telling him everything we know. What it's going to do and how we handled it was let him know that we had an issue come up. We found out that this particular employee of yours is doing A, B, and C, and we're letting you know that we're looking into it, and we need you to maintain that level of confidentiality as we go through the case. We will keep you updated, but he doesn't know how much we're going to update him. It's a lot of There's a lot of steps in it to maintain the integrity of the case. It's not meant to hide people from the information. It's just that until your case is solid, you want to make sure that nothing can happen to it that would jeopardize the hard work you put into it so far.
Right.
So kind of one of those deals.
Yeah.
Tell this guy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just one of those things. It's hard to know who to trust. I mean, and even in my experience, like there's certain people that we're almost like guaranteed to trust, and then we tell them something, but then we come to find out that they let that out somewhere, or they tip somebody off, and it's like, man, like you're supposed to be on our side. Like you're not law enforcement, but you're on our side, and you go and do this. So it's tough. It's one of those things where you just got to really evaluate and then kind of do like a risk versus reward kind of thing. Like, what's the risk if we tell this person some of this stuff? And if it's not detrimental to the case, then you can most likely push through with it if you think that it's the right decision. So,
Yeah. And it's crazy. It just, you never know what's going to open up when you do something like that. You never know what information you're going to have, what new evidence you're going to find. You just don't know. I go into this guy's supervisor's office and kind of lay it out a little bit. We've got information and evidence that here's the information we have on the box, here's the information we have on the inquiry, here's the information we have from witnesses who've purchased this stuff. It's been done on property, which is, you know, just piling up against this guy. And the senior leader is kind of wigging out and saying, "Man, this can't be happening. This can't be happening." He was about to nominate this guy for an annual, it's kind of like an Employee of the Year award. And
jeez.
now he's like, "Ah, what am I doing?" So everything's kind of fallen into place. And we've let him know, and obviously provided him with confidentiality agreement as well. And off we go to the races with this investigation, looking pretty good. And it all started from somebody who felt wronged, that they felt picked on because they were being treated differently than managers, even though both of them were violating company policy. I don't know what they expect. You know, when you
Yeah.
violate policy and somebody finds out, doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get it, so to speak. But
Sure.
that was the issue up to this point, and we make the decision that it's time to talk to this manager. Now, normally, when you're investigating within a corporate setting and you're going to be interviewing a person who is higher rank or higher level of supervisor than you
Right.
either have to have a same level supervisor in there with you or permission from your chain of command to proceed.
Yep.
And at this point, this person was a level above me, and I didn't have any trouble getting permission because his manager knew about it, who's two levels above me, and he told him in no uncertain terms, if you value your job at all, you'll sit down and talk to this person. There's no Miranda rights
Yep.
for a corporate setting. You're not interrogating, you're interviewing. And I don't know if I think we talked about, no, we did. There were two types of interviewing and investigation, interrogating schools that you could attend and get certified through. One was called the Reed technique by a fellow named John Reed out of New York.
Hmm.
And another one was by a company called Zulowski, Wicklander Zulowski. And the Reed technique is no longer used. It was old school. It was back in the day, the 90s, NYPD Blue, whack person in the head with a phone book when they didn't tell what you need to know. These guys were pretty, they violated just about every, um, I don't, not necessarily a civil right, but they violated every right you could have as a human being to try to get a statement out of it. And at least it's perceived that way now. Back in the day, it was commonplace interview
Yeah.
and interrogation techniques. Now that as things evolve with society and different tactics of interviewing and talking to people, this Wicklander Zalowski has a great approach that's very proven, effective, and they're still in business.
Nice.
It's a good class to attend. With the corporate security side versus a criminal interview, the rules could be a little bit different, um, depending on the state laws, and in some cases, federal law. But you want to follow your guidelines appropriately for the situation that you're in. And a lot of people complain that it was, kind of handcuffing them, so to speak, to get their interviews taken care of in an appropriate way and get the results they wanted. But my context has always been, and I was right in the middle of that, where the one style was phasing out and the other style was coming in. And my position has always been build a better case. Just build a better case. If you build a better case, you don't have to rely on whether a suspect will or a subject will confess or not. One of your best cases is one where you can walk in and say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Detective Metcalf, and I'm here to talk to you about the situation. And I'll let you know up front, you've already been advised of your Miranda rights. I don't care if you tell me anything or tell me nothing. I already got the case. I'm just bringing you in. See if you want to help out with the information, help yourself out, whatever you want to do. But I don't need your confession. I already have a case.
Hmm.
Those are the best ones to have." And pretty much, we were we were pretty much in that position with this guy. We've already established that the box wasn't his, that the product wasn't his, that there was an inquiry to support that. We've got other witnesses that stated he's the one that sold it to him. We have CCTV, the closed circuit TV, that verified that kind of thing. We had tons of evidence showing that, you know what, you can confess, you can deny, whatever you want to do, we got it. We got the agreement to set this guy up for an interview and brought him in. Kind of laid it out, just like this. And here's what we have. You've got this. We even showed him a few still photos that we took from the video. Here you are with the box. Here's where the box came from. Here's where the box is supposed to be going to, but instead it's on our property still. And you're the last one that touched it. Furthermore, here you are carrying bags out of that room on certain dates and times and then returning without them. We've got people that are identifying where those bags went. It's pretty much a slam dunk. And he knew it. And part of his information was, yeah, that's true. But if there's anything I can do to make my case better, I've got a story to tell you.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah.
You open that can of worms, and you never know what you're gonna find. It's like a box of chocolates, right, Forrest?
Well, there you go. Another great case in the books. Be sure and tune in next week when we unpack a new one, and I hope you have a good week.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you haven't already, go subscribe to our show. And if you liked it, maybe go get a buddy or two to go subscribe to it as well. Give us a like, a comment, a rating, whatever it is that you're watching this on, and make sure to give us some feedback because we want to make sure that we're doing the absolute best we can for our audience. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Criminal Motives Behind the Crime Scene Tape.